You're watching Fox 45 Morning News. All local, all morning.
Stop the sniffles before they start. 5 things you can do to cure your cold, including one that might actually surprise you.
And take action against these pesky colds. Yes, we have an expert live in our studio taking your calls about how to get rid of it before it starts. You can give us a call at 410-481-4545 or send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore. You can post your questions on our Facebook page. Well, you may start feeling a little tired, maybe your throat is scratchy, your head starts getting warm and cloudy feeling, and then your body starts aching. Yeah, they're all signs that you may be getting a cold. So what do you do when you first recognize those symptoms, and how do you fight it right from the start? A lot of people say chicken soup, vitamin C. Well, there's a whole lot of home remedies. Here now to discuss the quickest ways to knock out a cold is Jess Sewell, a physician from the GBMC at Perry Hall. Good morning.
Hi.
Well, thanks for coming in. So you get this question, I'm sure, a lot in family medicine. Is that
Yes.
right? So everyone comes in and they say, I'm sick. Give me a pill. Make it go away.
Absolutely. When in reality, there's no pill to make it go away.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that. I really was. Okay.
Well, a lot of money is spent in this country by consumers on products like echinacea and vitamin C and zinc and Zicam and Afrin. And the reality of it is there's no science behind most of that herbal supplementation.
So like Cold Ease, where they have the zinc in it? No.
There's no real science, no consistent
Okay.
evidence that it's actually beneficial.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes the side effects from those medications are more harmful or more bothersome than the actual symptoms of the cold.
Okay, and so then what are some tips? Now, I know you have 5 quick, easy steps that we could all remember, and can you run through those real quick?
Absolutely. Probably first and foremost is humidification nasal saline spray.
Okay.
I spend a lot of my time counseling patients about humidifiers because when our mucous membranes get dry, we become more susceptible to invaders like viruses and bacteria. So using a humidifier in your bedroom, you know, in a room where you spend a lot of time. So then the nasal saline also helps to thin secretions. Fluids, resting. You know, a lot of people want to go to work anyway. They should probably stay home and rest. They're not exposing other people and they're getting better. Fluids, it's important to drink lots of fluids.
Any fluids?
Well, I think it's especially important for us to stress that, you know, you need to drink things that contain electrolytes, like
Okay.
sodium, sugar, potassium. I mean, depending upon whether or not you're diabetic, you got to watch the sugar.
Okay.
But, you know, we tend to eat less when we're not feeling well, and it's important to maintain those things. Our muscles need that, and that's very basic.
All right, what about the home remedies, though? I mean, we were talking about this in the newsroom yesterday, and we had Megan Gillum, she was actually saying that she heard Vicks Vapor Rub on your feet can help you fight the cold.
Again, I'd have to say no science. I
Right.
mean, you know, grandmom's evidence of, you know, sort of this remedy, that remedy, the chicken noodle soup. I mean,
Okay.
hot beverages are soothing, you know, warm saltwater gargles, things like that. Those tend to be comforting emotionally and somewhat physically just because they
Okay.
reduce the symptoms. Nothing actually prevents the infection in terms of, you know, getting rid of it once
Right.
it starts. You're kind of
Okay.
stuck with it. You can just minimize symptoms.
Is there anything out there, though, like antiviral kind of pills or anything that you could take?
There are antivirals, but we reserve those for very specific instances, like
Okay.
proven flu infection, which of course everyone over the age of 6 months should really be immunized so that we have lower risk of that. But, you know, antivirals we generally don't prescribe for common colds and things
Okay.
like that.
Well, good. Well, we're going to get some questions from our viewers here in just a little bit, but right after the break. Fighting the common cold with Jess Sewell from GBMC. We'll be back to take your calls about home remedies that may or may not work if you've got them. If you have a question, our phone lines are open now at 410-481-4545. You can also send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. 7:52 is the time, and you are watching Fox 45 Morning News. All local, all morning. And we are back with Jess Sewell, physician's assistant from GBMC in Perry Hall, taking your calls about the best way to fight the common cold for our Take Action Thursday. So now if you have a question, our phone lines are open right now at 410-481-4545. You can send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. And right now we have Andre from Joppatown. Andre, good morning.
Good morning.
So do you have a question for Jess Sewell?
Yes, I was. As a matter of fact, I just came home from work, and I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she has a very bad sinus cold, and I was wondering if I could give her nasal spray to break up to where she can breathe. Is that okay?
It's absolutely okay as long as it's nasal saline spray. They actually sell some products specifically made for children. Medicated nasal sprays are not good. Generally, we reserve those, or I reserve recommending those for people who have to use them for very specific situations, you know, to go give a lecture, perform in some way, and need to be clear temporarily. For kids, it's nasal saline spray. It thins the secretions, and it does promote drainage of the mucus.
All right, thank you, Andre. Well, our Facebook, we had a lot of questions as well. First one is there any way to prevent a cold from going from one family member to another once someone is sick? It always seems to go through the entire family once someone does get sick. That's a good question.
Absolutely. Universal precautions. You know, these things are generally spread by droplet contamination of the air. So that's
like
sneezing, coughing, you know, and then you have transfer from different surfaces. Right. So it's hand washing, it's using the alcohol-based hand sanitizer products. Okay. And then, you know, you can run an air purifier as well, which can pull some of the particles out of the air. But in general, it's because you're breathing the same air.
Yeah. Sharing the same space with somebody is bound to happen. Exactly. Irene, can wearing extra clothes prevent a cold? Not really. The whole thing about, you know, getting sick in the winter because the temperatures are colder is really myth. Again, you got to kind of take those universal precautions. People tend to get sick more in the fall, winter, spring, season change, the dry air, it all makes us more vulnerable, and then, you know, we incur these infections. And then sleep deprivation when around the holidays too, it seems to... Time change and stress and all of that just weakens your immune system. It does. All right. Well, Renita also wrote in, she said, I would like to know why some colds last longer than others. It seems like every year around this time I catch a cold and it will linger on for about 2 weeks. Although I've been taking cold medicine, I have a cold now. Ugh. I am really glad that someone asked that question, because oftentimes patients come into the office and they're like, well, you know, initially I had some nasal congestion and sore throat and headache, and most of those things are gone, but I have this lingering cough and I'm just not feeling up to par. It takes your body some time to heal, and a cough is really the result of inflammation that's left behind in the main stem bronchi and airways. So a lot of the symptoms are just, you know, symptoms of your body recovering. If you fall and you scrape your knee, it's not like, oh, okay, the initial injury's done and now I'm fine. You've got to recover from that. So it's just one of those unfortunate things that we have to kind of get through. All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for calling in and writing on Facebook. If there's any there, we'll try and get to those answers too as well a little bit later on. Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour.